Here's another article in my Google Alerts for you U.S. Postal Service retirees. Please take a listen because this affects you when the continuing trend to shift healthcare costs onto Medicare will affect you and your golden years. This is the article is How Not to Save the U.S. Postal Service from Wall Street Journal. We're going to get into it in just a second here and allow this to play over it since I'm not the best reader for this, but please take a listen because this will affect your healthcare and how you are able to get your medical services and supplies as a retiree from the U.S. Postal Service. And so if you're just tuning into this, there's a continuing battle between New York City retirees that just won a court case. Over 250,000 were being forced on what's called a Medicare Advantage plan. And if you want to listen in on that and other videos, take a listen to my channel on Michael C. Fischbach and subscribe to learn more about this growing trend that has been growing since 2005, but the trend has been literally shifting the cost to Medicare. 1.6 million in 2008. Now it's nearly 5 million. That's a large number of public service retirees and private employer retirees. So take a listen on to this article for you U.S. Postal Service worker or retiree.
How not to save the U.S. Postal Service. Congress is passing a bill that refuses to grapple with reality. By the editorial board. March 7, 2022, 6:32 p.m. Eastern Time. Pay attention, aspiring shirkers and wannabe buck passers. This week Congress is giving a masterclass in pretending to solve a problem while avoiding actual responsibility. The Senate intends to take up bipartisan reform of the U.S. Postal Service. A bill already passed the House 342-92. The USPS's real challenge is that the Internet was invented. Yet lawmakers can't stomach retrenchment, so they've instead agreed on this. The bill's biggest item would force postal retirees to sign up for Medicare. About 26% prefer to stay on USPS plans. The Postal Service says pushing such workers into Medicare isn't a bailout because the USPS pays the usual Medicare taxes, meaning that if workers never enroll, the current setup results in an overpayment. The extra retirees, the USPS adds, would barely dent Medicare's trust fund. The impact is just 0.12%, or less than half of one day's worth of claims per year. Republican Senator Rick Scott has offered an amendment to have the post office repay Medicare to make it whole. Either way, it's like sitting down with your two bankrupt friends to decide which one is going to pay off the other's mortgage. The Medicare Hospital Trust Fund is scheduled to be insolvent in 2026. Say aye to make it just 0.12% more insolvent. The USPS hasn't been in the black since 2006. It sees the Medicare switcheroo as savings, part of Postmaster General Louis DeJoy's break-even plan. Making it reimburse Medicare defeats the purpose. Even backers of the legislation seem to know it's missing the point. Representative Carolyn Maloney, a House sponsor, issued a news release to hail the bill as a big win for both taxpayers and the Postal Service, while she recounts grim trends about the USPS's core business. Ms. Maloney cites a 32% decline in first-class mail over the last decade, coupled with the increase of approximately 10 million addresses. The USPS's main source of revenue is steadily declining while the costs of delivering universal service steadily increase. This is the part of her memo where a reader expects to hear Congress's solutions, but they never come.
According to House Committee on Oversight and Reform, Act of 2021 would eliminate the requirement that the Postal Service pre-fund retiree health benefits for all current and retired employees for 75 years in the future. No private company or other federal government entity is required to comply with such a burdensome requirement.
It's the Postal Service Reform Act of 2021. And let's go to Postal Service 2022. Postal Service Retirees 2022.
Here is information from American Postal Workers Union. According to NPR, the Postal Service Reform Act of 2022 would help shore up post office finances by ending the unusual and onerous legal requirement to fund 75 years of retirement health benefits in advance.
And in return, it would require future Postal Service retirees to enroll in Medicare. And so you are losing that benefit of getting it pre-financed or prepaid. And so it looks like more of the shift is going on to the enrollee or public service retiree for this situation for U.S. Postal Service retirees. And you will have to obviously pay more out of pocket, whether it's going to be a Medicare, traditional Medicare, and you're looking into your two main ways. And typically they'll offer you two main ways to get your coverage. Traditional Medicare, will you pay for some premiums for your Part B, and if you worked your entire paid your at least 40 quarters or about approximately 10 years into your Social Security, your Part A is free. And so look into the cost and cost sharing. Traditional Medicare is literally what you paid all your working years into to receive the golden standard according to Rutgers for your health care coverage. The alternative to original Medicare is a service area, an HMO, PPO, known as a Medicare Advantage plan. It's either on the individual market or a group Medicare Advantage plan is what's typically happening when they're shifting costs over to Medicare. And what happens is these Medicare Advantage plans or group plans are shifting that risk over to those insurance companies, to where you, the retiree, are no longer in traditional Medicare, but you have something very similar to a group employer plan, but it is not traditional Medicare in terms of claims payment for medical services and supplies. So be aware that there are major differences in terms of claims payment. They won't tell you that in the Medicare and You handbook. What they will do is pit one against the other. One doesn't need referrals, one does, but I can tell you in dealing with both sides that original Medicare is primary insurance. It is literally helps more Americans and retirees in the U.S. since 1966 from its inception. Medicare Advantage has a history of showing you low premiums initially, making it all bundled up all in one plan, also giving you one ID card. But the people that are healthy and don't utilize it typically like it because they don't need the medical services or supplies to be paid. But the more utilization that you have, the more chronic health conditions you have, the more risk you have for max out of pocket, which can be up to $11,000 in and out of the network for Medicare Advantage plans. On the individual market, if you're on a group Medicare Advantage plan like an EGWIP, employee waiver plan, then that is known as retiree insurance. And so that is what the New York City retirees, over 250,000 of them, are not wanting to be pushed into. They actually won a court case recently, a few weeks ago, to where they were not charged to stay on traditional Medicare, and they are able to opt out of the Medicare Advantage plan because essentially it was one big move or switch mandated by the unions and the former Mayor de Blasio. So just note that there's some shifting sand when there is a shift from your current health plan onto Medicare. And if you have questions along the way, please comment in the video below. But I hope this article has helped out to get your attention if you're a U.S. retiree, whether it's a public service worker or from a former private employer. please note that that is the continuing trend, and I'll continue to cover that news as I see it in my email, as well as all the other sources that I get in my my email. So take care. God bless. Let me know if you have questions about your Medicare situation and Medicare insurance for your state. I have multiple affiliates that are able to help in all 50 states. I'm able to help in a number of states because I'm licensed and trusted to do so. I've been doing this since 2016. So I run MEDICARESAVINGS.us, the organization down here where we research your Medicare savings situations for free. You just go to MEDICARESAVINGS.us. If you want to contact us efficiently, you can answer a few questions on our contact page, but please don't hesitate to reach out prior to any thing that might change in your landscape, because staying ahead lets you know your options when employers do shift your healthcare coverage to different options, whether it's in the marketplace or whether it's through a health care exchange through your employer. Please know that as a consumer, you have rights and options, and that's what we're here to make simple and clear for you. Take care, and God bless.